And we are back with another episode of the Doing All Right podcast. Voch Lombardi in the building, man. Appreciate y'all. Bryan Broaddus over there to my left there, but we got a legend in the building. Got Mr. Dane Brugler on the big screen up in here from The Athletic. Dane, what's happening, man?
It is absolutely my pleasure to be joined with you guys. This is a long time coming, so I'm excited to do this.
So, Dane, let me ask you this, and this ain't one of my heaters. I'm just kind of setting you up right now. I just got a curious question. You have been looking at this class for months now, and me and Bryan just kind of started a little bit ago. When you get to late January, are you done and you just kind of watching everything unfold, or you're trying to watch your 500th guy?
It's a lot of the little pieces that you're missing. Because most of the hay's in the barn at this point. The evaluations are 95% done. But maybe, you wanted to see how X player does in one-on-ones at the Senior Bowl, or you want to see how, a certain guy performs at the Combine, want to make sure the numbers match up. It's just more of this making sure what you see on film, maybe something that you were stuck on, being able to go to the East-West Shrine, the Senior Bowl, the Combine, these workouts. That's where you hope to maybe fill in some of those missing parts of the evaluation. Kyle Lewis from Pitt, the linebacker, perfect example of a guy that you watch him on film, you see the athlete, but he didn't play man coverage. He's not a take-on player. So it's like, all right, I'm not sure what to do with this player. And then you go to the Senior Bowl, you see him cover running backs in one-on-ones. You see him cover tight ends. You see him show up and bring energy to the field. And it's like, okay, I still have my questions, but I have maybe some more answers than I did coming in. So, this January, February, March, this is the part where most of the work is done because, you guys know this, 80%, 85% of the evaluations, what you see on tape. Yeah. Now is where you kind of fill in those missing gaps.
So, Dane, people have been kind of asking us about it, because it is All-Star season, and me and Bryan kind of talked about our, process or whatever. What do you do with this group of edge dudes, right? The T.J. Parkers, the Danny Dennis Smiths, the Gabe Jacqueses, those guys that aren't really pass rushers on film, like they're bigger guys, they maybe don't have a bunch of pass rush to them, but they show up to these bowl games and they're whooping somebody in one-on-ones, right? So when you're in your January Senior Bowl phase, what do you do with those kind of guys that's showing you a little more in these bowl games, but they probably didn't show it all the time on film?
Yeah, context is so important, right? Like we've heard a lot about the defensive line this week, and with good reason. There's a lot of good defensive linemen down here, but I think these one-on-ones, it's been more about the struggles of the offensive line more so than the defensive line just dominating because they're that much better. I just think it's been more, I've been less impressed with the offensive line as opposed to more impressed with the defensive line. And that, like I said, I don't want to take anything away from these guys. Watching Zion Young go up there and make plays, it's, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. But at the same time, I think he's going up against some offensive tackles that aren't exactly NFL starters. They're not guys going to be drafted in the top 4 rounds. So they were able to really assert themselves against lesser competition. But it's still, that's what they're there for, to go and make plays. And so if you're going right through a guy because he's not able to set up, plant his feet, and anchor against you, well, I mean, that's what do you expect him to do? But I wouldn't inflate these edge rushers that much based on what they've done. I think TJ Parker, he's a great example of a player who came in more of a second round player, but he came in here, played really well, brought the energy every day, made an impact every day. So, he helped himself a little bit, but you're not automatically going to put him in the top 25 now because of just what he did down here. But I still think you're encouraged by what he put on what he put on the field here, what he put on tape.
Dane, I was going to ask you, because a lot of Cowboy fans, and Voch and I do this, a lot of Cowboy fans involved, but, we try and be a one-stop shop for everybody in the National Football League, too. We take a lot of pride in that, much like with the stuff that you do. How has the evaluation of these cornerbacks played out for you? And it seems like to me there might be a consensus. Is there 3 guys? Is there 4 guys? Is there 5 guys? Where does Hood fit into all this? For fans out there that are trying for their team to look at a cornerback, I'm going to ask you, how would you stack them? And then maybe a little bit about each one that you like or why you don't like the other guy as much.
Yeah, it's a really interesting corner group because I like the depth in the first 3 rounds, and then I think it falls off quite a bit. But I think there are some quality players in the top 10 to 12, 10 to 15 maybe at the position. For me, I think it starts with Mansour Delane. He's not the biggest. He wasn't at the Senior Bowl. We'll see him at the Combine, but scouts had him at right around 5'11", 190 pounds, shorter arms, under 31 inches. So the size isn't going to wow you, but you watch the film and, Brian, I know I don't have to tell you, you saw him all year. One of the few bright spots at LSU defense, just sticky coverage, man zone, has a good feel for route concepts and what they're trying to do. And so, Mansour Delane to me, even though the physical traits aren't elite, they are good enough where I feel good about everything else. And so he's right there at the top. And then it's the 2 Tennessee kids. And, Jamar McCoy is obviously interesting because we don't have any 2025 tape on him. But those medicals at the Combine will be everything. And I think you're at least encouraged that the injury, the ACL, was a year ago, January. So he should be fully healed for the Combine and working out. I thought that Colton Hood did a nice job down here, the other Tennessee corner. Didn't practice the 3rd day, but the first 2 days, I thought, at every All-Star event, if you're a corner, you're going to have your misses, you're going to have your losses. It's just a volatile position by nature. But I thought he more than held his own, showed why, he is one of the top corners in this draft. And I always love, talking to these guys, talking to players at the Shrine Bowl, talking to players at the Senior Bowl. I'm always asking them, who's the toughest guy you've gone against this year? When I talked to receivers, I had more tell me Colton Hood than any other player, just because of how big he is, how fluid he is, and just his ability to really compete at the catch point. So Colton Hood, I think, is right up there. Avion Terrell, AJ Terrell's little brother, he's up there as well. Just you wish there was more on-ball production this year, but his ability to compete, go after the football, the forced fumbles are there. You love the attitude that he plays with. I think there's a little bit of a honey badger aura there, just with the way he plays. Very opportunistic, has a feel for what the offense is trying to do. So, and then another player I do want to mention is Chris Johnson, the San Diego State corner, who I thought had a really good week down here in Mobile. He's tall, he's over 6 foot, pretty lean. But the big thing I know scouts were questioning during the fall was how fast is he? Is he going to run in the 4.4s? Is he going to be more of a 4.55 guy? He held his own down here. He did not look slow at all. So Chris Johnson's a player that I think is on tape. Looks like a 2nd-round player to me, but I thought he helped himself and could be maybe even higher than that.
Dane, what are we going to do with the shorter corners, the Pons,
D'Angelo Pons,
and then also Chandler Rivers? Looked like 2 really quality players. I mean, Voch and I were talking. He's like, bro, you got to watch this Chandler Rivers play. And I had not seen him, and you watch the Duke tape and all that, and you get really super impressed by him. How would Dane Brugler evaluate the 5'9" corner, and how do you think NFL teams, are we changing our eyes for these types of players?
Yeah, and I mean, look, these guys, there's no way around the size, right? They are what they are. And D'Angelo Pons wasn't at the Senior Bowl. We'll get his official measurements in Indy, but talking to a scout who got his official measurements, I mean, he's a smaller guy. There's no, he's just over 5'8". He's got under 30-inch arms. So you have to be okay with that. But you watch the film and you see a guy that competes his butt off. I mean, both these guys, but Chandler Rivers as well. Rivers is a player that definitely has some buzz from scouts during the fall, and a guy that you always say, oh man, if he was 3 inches taller, if he were just a little bit bigger, but he competes his butt off, and speed is there. The way he can get into the frame of receivers down the field, where he's not grabbing, he's not getting penalized, but he's making sure the receiver knows that he's there. Like, he is not a finesse corner at all. So I think one of the biggest things with these guys is, can they play in the slot? And like a guy like D'Angelo Pons, he was primarily an outside corner for Indiana, and so that's a little bit of an unknown variable with him. Now, he played a lot of nickel in high school, and because I talked to him about that, so he's not unfamiliar with the position. But you watch his Indiana tape, you watch his James Madison tape, and he's on the outside, and he's more than holding his own, but you want to get that data point. Are you comfortable with moving him inside, feel like he can hold his own? And I think he can.
Dane, there's a big group of Cowboy fans right now that are tapped into all the news. They hire a new DC, and we're hearing a bunch of interviews. We're listening to him talk. And there's this big conversation about nickel guys now, like nickel corners now, how the league is kind of evolving to build a defense around those guys. But just me listening to those guys talk about nickel guys, they're not talking about the normal nickel corners. They're really talking about these safety nickel hybrid guys, right? Like, they're talking about, look at what, those guys, right? Like those bigger nickel dudes. And it just happened, Dane Brugler. We're in this draft here was like 4 or 5 of those guys, to where they're playing in the free, they're playing in the box, they're playing nickel, a bunch of nickel. How do you kind of differentiate those guys? Do those guys get bumped up the list because that's what the league is looking for now? How do you kind of, break those guys down and stack them?
Yeah, and we see this every year, right? Where something starts to work and it starts to, other teams we see, they start to maybe change their philosophy a little bit, and just how they want to get the best 11 guys out there. South Carolina's got another one this year, in Jalen Kilgore, who is a bigger guy. But he's a good athlete. Just going back to, his days at South Carolina, he showed up from day one as a freshman, and he's making plays out there. Kilgore is definitely a name to know. But yeah, this is a safety class where there's a lot of different types of safeties. And I think that's part of the process now, is just figuring out, okay, so on tape you did this, this, and this, but if we want you to do, play more of a nickel role, play more of a, we can, depending on what your pre snap read is, if you're reading pass, you're doing this. If you're reading run, you're doing this. That's why I think Caleb Downs is going to be, yes, I understand he's a safety and positional value and all of that. He's so dang smart that he is scheme versatile, scheme agnostic, whatever you want him to do, Caleb Downs can do it. And so I think that's what's really going to bump him up, as opposed to most safeties we've seen the last how many years, fall in the draft, whether it's Brian Branch or, Emin Worry to me was I think he finished 16th overall on my final overall rankings, but he fell to the second round just because not every team was convinced about, okay, this is his exact role, and we feel like he's worth it at that point. This year, I think we maybe start to see an overcorrection where Caleb Downs should go in the top 10. Maybe some of these other guys go up a little bit higher because teams are a little more comfortable with what they bring. Yeah. And I just think the quality of player, this year's safety class, I think there's some versatility to be had.
Man, Dane, I'm glad you said it, because that's exactly where I was kind of going to lead to it. Like, there's no way Caleb Downs falls to 12 overall. You could look at past safety history and go, okay, Downs should fall, and Cowboys would be happy to run and take him at 12th overall. But I don't think he'll get there. I think safety's going to change. But this is something that me and Brian talked about, whether it be McNeil Warren, Thieneman. Do you think that taking those guys at 20 is too high, or should the Cowboys try to get back in the second, or will they be gone if the Cowboys try and do that?
Yeah, no, I agree with all of that, because Caleb Downs is, you want him to play the star, you want him to play the money, you want him to play the post. What you loved about what he did at Alabama and then what he did with Ohio State, especially with Matt Patricia's scheme this past year, you see a lot of disguises. You see a lot of trap zone coverages, where, he can align as a split safety, but he can also work down and you create an eight-man box, or drop into a 5 under look. He can do all these different things, and having that versatility, and a guy that's not just physically able to do it, but mentally able to do it. That is what that's the skeleton key that unlocks so much. And because of that, I mean, and I think if you're just stacking the best players in this draft, I don't know how you let Caleb Downs get out of the top 5, top 6, whatever. I took some heat because a couple of weeks ago I said, I tweeted how I think the 5 best players in this draft all played their college ball in Indiana or Ohio. I think Caleb Downs is right there in that mix. And then like you mentioned some of these other safeties, Thieneman, and McNeil Warren's a lot of fun. He's a guy I don't think has played his best football yet. And they used him in a lot of different ways. They mostly as a kind of a field safety, but just talking to him, he feels like he can do a lot more than that. So I don't think that any of those 2 guys, Thieneman or McNeil Warren, are going to make it to the mid-second round. And I think there's a good chance both could be off the board late 1.
Dane, I'm focusing now on these linebackers, and a lot of mock drafts, they keep throwing Sonny Styles to Dallas at 12. And then we saw Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft where he went much earlier than that. Daniel Jeremiah did a mock draft where no wide receivers were taken ahead of the Cowboys, which kind of put everybody into a, wow, that could be a wild draft to have to deal with, we kind of getting wiped out on your defensive players. But I was going to ask you about these linebackers, and then the comparisons between like an Allen from Georgia, a Hill from Texas. I like Trotter from Missouri. I'm talking about these bigger, kind of thumpy kind of linebackers. If you're the Dallas Cowboys, how do you look at this linebacker group overall? And is Sonny Styles the one that we kept talking about, Ashton Genty last year, and we kept talking about Tet McMillan, and neither one of them get to you? Is Sonny Styles a guy that Dallas is even going to have a chance at?
This year's top 10 is wide open. I think that we know who's going 1, and then
the
number
draft
2
starts. Yeah.
I don't. Every team's board is going to look wildly different, and you have guys like Caleb Downs, Sonny Styles, Jeremiah Love. Those are 3 of the best 5 players in this draft, but they play positions that a lot of teams are not comfortable drafting in the top 10. So, Caleb Downs has no business falling out of the top 10, but there's always a chance. Sonny Styles has no business falling out of the top 10. Not every team's looking for a linebacker that early. So I do think that no one can give you any type of finite answer to that question, because every team is going to look at this really, really differently. And, some teams are going to look at Arvell Reese and see the best non-quarterback in the draft. Other teams are going to look at him and have a few more questions. So I think that we just have to keep an open mind, especially now. It's still January. Let's get to the combine and get to March and see how we're feeling about it. But I think that this thing's going to be wide open, where I could see a wide receiver going 4 overall to the Titans. That wouldn't be surprising at all. But I could also see them, falling a little bit, because all these wide receivers have questions. Jordan Tyson, he missed something like 37% of his games in college because he was injured. Carnell Tate, he was banged up this past year, and he has a certain style of wide receiver that not every team is looking for. Malachi Lemon is awesome, but he's also undersized. He's not going to test off the charts. He's more of that Amon-Ra St. Brown type of player who, if he turns out to be that, absolutely worth a top 15 pick. But that's it's a small needle of thread, to actually come out and, be that type of player. So I just think this top 10, top 15, I think it's wide open. I think every team's board is going to look wildly different. Some teams, because usually, you guys know this, in the top 10, top 15, teams are really shooting for more upside than anything. Like, you want the guys that are good players now, but also bring you upside. This draft, I don't think, has a ton of those guys. And so a lot of teams are going to look at it and say, let's just go for the high floor guys. Let's get our Caleb Downs. Let's get our Sonny Styles. Guys that, we just know what we're getting. And they might be as good now as they're ever going to be, but that's still pretty dang good. And, Sonny Styles, that in my mock draft, that's who I had the Cowboys taken at 12. The coverage stuff is the one area where I want to see him get a little bit better. But the strides he has taken from last year till this year, because remember, he was a safety, then moved to linebacker. His reads, his ability to see the field is big time, and his value on sub downs is tremendous, whether it's as a blitzer, whether you want to use him as more of an overhang. You can just do so many things with a Sonny Styles, and you don't see many guys that are 6'4", 240, and those are legit measurables. He's not going to measure smaller. He's probably closer to 6'5" than 6'4", plus he's a legit 240. He's going to run in the 4.5s, and he just turned 21 years old. So I can see the maybe the trepidation about why Cowboys fans would be worried he might not be there at 12.
Dane, I'm looking at the Cowboys at 12, and I'm constantly talking myself out of the idea that a top corner is going to be there for me. Delane or Jermar McCoy is going to be there for me. But Dane, I'm phony. And I have this one thing that I've been thinking about that's giving me a little hope. Let me just ask you. Every time I have a top corner on my board, like a number one corner on my board, or just Brian's board, whoever's board, those guys always tend to fall in the draft. And then they go to the league and they do just fine. Guys like Jahdae Barron, Will Anderson, Kenyon Mitchell, Tyrion Arnold, Joey Porter. These are all guys that we loved as just watching the film scouts. Hey, these dudes can play. But for whatever reason in the draft, they fall and they go to the league and they're what we thought they were. Why do you think that corners like that tend to fall? And do you think that it's possible that a top corner in this draft could fall?
Yeah, and we saw. Patrick Surtain still went top 10. He was a different type of dude, right? But Quinyon Mitchell, seeing him fall out of the top 20 was pretty surprising, and him being from Toledo, maybe that plays a part. I will be interested with a guy like Mansour Delane because, again, he doesn't have those elite measurables. He's not going to measure in taller than 5'11". He's not going to. He should run fine, but it's probably more in the 4.45 to 4.50 range as opposed to a 4.3. So not having the elite measurables, I think, will be interesting with Delane to see how teams deal with that. But the tape is awesome. There's no debate about what the tape says. And then Jermon McCoy too. Not having any film this past year, that's tough. So finding a through line with all these guys will be tough because I think they all have their. There's something about their profile, whether it's Delane not having the elite physical traits or McCoy not having any 2025 tape. There's something about each of them that you can say, all right, well, I can see why maybe a team would be a little hesitant to invest a top 10 pick on this guy. But yeah, every team needs corners, right? And so, if the Giants at 5 go with a corner, that wouldn't be shocking at all. But if, there's still one or two of those guys on the board at 12, I really wouldn't be surprised because of, the way you laid it out. We've seen talented corners fall in the past. And then the corners at the top of this draft, there's something about each one of them that you can maybe poke a hole in and say, all right, well, this is why we can't take them top 10.
So Dane, teams love measurables, and I always say teams really not, they're not good at drafting at all. Like they really suck at it. Is there a way that some team that loves measurables that they'll probably value Cisse or Hood over, okay,
Farrell.
You know what I'm saying? Some of those guys, right?
Yeah.
Is it possible that, just like in Jeremiah's draft, Colton Hood went 12. I don't see Colton Hood as a top 12 guy, but some team may love measurables. So do you think that there's a way that guys like Hood and Cisse can kind of jump the line a little bit just because they're, measurably better?
Yeah, I think it's possible. Sure. Cisse, I was told at the combine, he's going to blow it up. I mean, 4 threes, over 40 inches in the vert. So like he puts on a show in Indy, and all of a sudden maybe he is being talked about as a top 20, top 15 type of guy. I do think that this is, and Colton Hood, he is, I initially, my first instinct would be to agree with you, like not a top 12 guy, but I don't think he's too far off from that. And again, in this draft, this is an offensive line class that's not, if there's not a top 10 lock among this offensive line class. The edge group, I really like David Bailey, and, but like it's not, we don't have an Abdul Carter this year, or a guy that's an automatic, he's going top 10. I just think there's a lot of differing opinions around the league on the first round. Like, how many first round guys are there? How many? And then where's that drop off? Is it 12? Is it 14? And I think that's where there's just a lot of differing opinions. And then who's at the top of that next bucket? Is it a Colton Hood? And that's why we could see him going, 14th or whatever. So yeah, this is a first round that's, I think, really unsettled. Part of, besides seeing the players and talking to the players, one of the big reasons I go to the Shrine Game, go to the Senior Bowl, just to talk to all the scouts, catch up with them, and kind of, pick their brains, see how they're feeling about some of these guys. And man, opinions all over the place on a lot of these guys. And, now that, and this is the part of the year where coaches get involved. And so a scout could love a player all year, then a coach gets involved, and a DB coach doesn't like a corner, it doesn't see the upside, and it's okay, never mind. All that work that was done in the fall, it doesn't matter because the coach doesn't like him. So I think now is a part of the process where starting to really get a better idea about how teams like certain players, might not like other players. So it's kind of the early stages of that feeling out process.
Dane, my final question for you, and I know Voch's got one for you as well, but I wanted to know and you mentioned, I was going to ask you, pick me a player at 12 that's on offense for the Cowboys, but then I really want to ask you this question, though. I want to ask you this question this way. With all the turnover in the league, is it going to make the first round, because those teams that are turning all the coaches over are picking pretty high, and now we really don't know what kind of scheme or what they're going to do or how they're thinking? I think scouts are kind of in a bad spot. I'll include the Cowboys, scouts. They have an idea offensively what they need, but defensively, maybe been scouting all year, and now they have to go back and maybe look at players they didn't think were going to fit their scheme the first time with, say, Matt Eberflus there. Are teams in a little bit of a problem because of the massive coaching changes we've seen so far this year?
Scouts they're earning their money, right? Because that's part of why you go to all these school calls and you figure out, okay, this guy's best in this scheme or not very good in this one. And so they should have the answers to all of that. Maybe while they were leaning a certain way because of how he fit your 2025 scheme, you got to adjust and make sure that you are understanding what the new coach is bringing and what he wants to run, and being on the same page. But no, I think it's a really good point because of all the coaching turnover, and in Cleveland with Monken, the Browns have to go offense, but does that having Monken change when they go after a wide receiver or when they go after an offensive lineman? The Giants and Harbaugh, does that change kind of the direction they want to go with their top 10 pick? And maybe do they want to get someone to help their young quarterback that, so that there's no question that the different coaching staffs and what they bring, that's going to alter what a lot of teams are thinking. And because a lot of these coaches too, they got a lot of power. They've got their thumb on the scale, they do. Right? And so, I think that makes sense, and it's a really good point to keep in mind as we keep going through the process.
Last one for me, Dane. There's a lot of talk about trading back, like keeping one pick, trade another pick back.
Your favorite thing to do.
I get sick of Cowboy fans with this, but I just do want to ask you this, though, Dane. What's more impactful in this draft? What's the most bang for your buck in this draft? 2 top 20 players or 3 top 100 players? What's the better bang? Come on, Dane. I told you I had some shit for you, man. What's the best bang for your buck in this situation?
Yeah, I mean, that is a good question, because I think you could make the argument that the player you get at 20 is he really all that different than the player you would get at 45? Are they on a similar playing field? I think that my answer might depend on what my roster looks like. Like, if I'm on a team like the Jets, like I need all the help I can get. I need to turn over this roster and just add more players, more talent. But if I'm a team like the Cowboys, where, I mean, obviously there are holes to fill, but I feel like I can really hit 2 home runs in the top 20, as opposed to, getting a player at 64 or whatever it may be. I think if I'm a team like the Cowboys, I'm going to lean towards the 2 top 20 picks, even though, the scout in me wants more picks. But trust me, I hear all the time when I do a mock draft or whatever, I'll just hopefully they'll trade back. And who's trading up in this draft? Maybe if like a Jeremiah Love falls, could the Texans trade up to go get him? Maybe if he falls to 11 or something like that, you can't rule it out. But I just think it's going to be hard for teams to trade up in this draft, or it's hard for teams to trade back in this draft, because just not going to be a ton of teams looking to give up draft capital to go up and get a guy, especially without any big time quarterbacks. Outside of Mendoza going 1, we're probably not going to see any quarterbacks go in the top 15.
DP Brugler, ladies and gentlemen. When's the Beast dropping? Let them all know. Who we be looking out for?
Hopefully that first week in April. I mean, it's just working day and night trying to get it done. But yeah, the goal is always that first week in April, so fans have a couple weeks before the draft to digest it all. And man, I can't wait to share a lot of good stuff this year.
Find him at The Athletic. He's going to be dropping mocks and all kind of articles and stuff. 5 players that have changed their draft stock from the combine and all this kind of stuff. Tap in with Dane. But y'all know Dane Brugler. That's why you're watching the show right now. So appreciate you, sir. Feel free to tap in with the Zoom again, or you can come by the studio. I mean, we actually have a nice table and chairs for you and everything. So whenever you want to come by, man, I mean, let one of us know and we'll let you through, man. Come on now.
I'll just knock on the door and say, hey, yeah, let me in. Let's do it.
Security. All right, appreciate you, Dane Brugler. We're going to, me and Bryan are going to continue to get some work in. But we're going to let Dane go. Thank you very much, sir. And we'll be right back with y'all in a second. Man, Bryan, let me tell you about Derrick Moore.
All right.
Pass rush from Michigan. Thanks to Dane Brugler, by the way. Yeah. Derrick Moore, pass rusher from Michigan.
Yeah.
That boy get off the line of scrimmage a little bit, don't he?
He does.
Cool little get off, flies off the line of scrimmage. I think he's solid in the run game. I see him thumping pullers. He's very active, got a cool little motor. You know what I'm saying? In the run game, I see him not really being a technician. I just see him getting to the football at a high efforty rate. And that's cool, man. Ain't nothing wrong with being a high effort guy. Everybody's not going to be stack and shed guy.
Right.
As a pass rusher, these are some things that I noticed about Derrick Moore. He got 3 moves, Bryan.
I was surprised he had 3.
They work though. Those 3 moves work. So one is just an outside rush.
Okay.
But
is that a move or is that just a God-given skill?
This is what I got wrote down right here. These are the 3 things that he done.
Yeah.
So with his outside rush, it's not a bunch of technique in his outside rush.
That's what I was kind of. I was thinking you were gonna just like, no man, boy, he's a swat, swim, dip, rip. I thought you were gonna give me one of those.
Watch this.
Yeah.
But look, no hands,
no hands,
no setup,
just
athletically gifted to the outside, and it works.
I am dancing with you right now.
His second move is I got stuck. Let me rush inside. Let me rush inside.
All right.
Look, he don't set up the inside move.
Yeah, he doesn't.
He don't set it up, but he just get in there.
Yeah.
But my favorite one is the very sneaky bull rush.
The sneaky bull rush.
He would do that speed to power. And if you watch him in his Senior Bowl stuff, all he been doing is either outside rushing or bull rushing people the whole week. So those are his 3 moves. But they work though, Bryan.
Yeah.
They work. I think when he gets to the league, he's gonna have to think of a changeup. He's gonna have to come with he's gonna have to come with a changeup. He's gonna have to develop a counter.
Okay.
But I think just based off the physical skills, seeing him do it, he does have physical skill to do it.
He sure does.
I think he knows how to play football. He just doesn't set it all up good.
There you go.
But what the hell is coaching for, Bryan? I like Derrick Moore a bunch. I think he'll be a 3rd round defensive end or something like that.
I think he got the round right. Yeah. I would be surprised if he did go higher. I think you got the guy. I think you're getting pretty good at the scouting stuff over the years. You mean you've been doing it for a while. I think you're getting pretty good at it. And I liked your questions with Dane, by the way.
Hey, look, I thought I had skills.
As you would say, you brought the shit today.
I brought the. I was stepping on shit, bro.
You brought it today. I'll say this about Derrick Moore. I think you got him right. The thing that I used the word nuance. And I went to school in Louisiana. You're from the great state of Mississippi.
Yes, sir.
We don't always use the word nuance. We don't always use the word nuance.
I use it a lot, but I didn't always use it.
But I'm using it today. We don't have a lot of pass rush nuance here. We just do not. And I do think he'll struggle to disengage from offensive tackles. I do think he's got some power, but the counters, the hand fighting, all that stuff's got to improve. When he gets too high, he's going to lose any ability he has to play with leverage. The bull rush, the outside speed rush, without effective counter moves. Voch, you got this guy right. There's just raw power, there's quickness, and when he hits that wall, he'll get stuck. And I think that's the thing that, you have to worry about him the most. I think you do see he'll try and long arm a guy. And you're right about the Senior Bowl stuff. I don't know, he's going to have to get with somebody that helps him with that technique. Yeah. But, man, he's a good-looking player at 6'3", 254 pounds. I think the third round is absolutely where he needs to be. Derrick Moore from Michigan.
Bryan, yesterday we talked about Chandler Rivers.
Ooh.
The cornerback from Duke.
I like me some Chandler Rivers. Thank you. By the way, thank you, sir.
Hey, man.
Thank you. You're helping the cause.
Whenever I get excited about a player.
You're helping the cause. I appreciate you helping the cause.
Bryan Broaddus, man.
I hate looking at bad players. You know that, right?
I never recommend you a bad player to look at.
I don't. Yeah. Please don't recommend a bad player to me.
I won't. Bryan, we're going to watch the bad players, but I won't recommend
I know. You won't recommend it by choice, right?
Bryan, please tell the good people about our little bitty corner. I just think he's short. I don't think he's little.
Yeah, tell
us about our short corner Chandler Rivers.
Yeah, he's 5'9", 185 is what he measures at, which is very reminiscent. As Dane Brugler talked about us with us earlier, D'Angelo Pons, 5'9", 173. Very similar. That's why.
10 pounds bigger than Pons? Shit.
Yeah, it's basically, kind of that way. Yeah.
Okay.
The thing with Rivers, though, this guy, he'll generally line up on the left side of the defense. Is where I was seeing him play. But I saw him play slot, and I actually saw him play some safety, and he plays that way because Manny Diaz, the coach there, rotates his coverage. So if you give him a certain formation, instead of having a corner stand out there kind of not doing anything, he'll rotate the defense
strong side
to make it a strong side. And all of a sudden, so you'll see Chandler Rivers playing like as a free safety, and you're going, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah. But he likes to move him around a little bit. I think this guy is really good when it comes to reading the play and then making the play. Yeah. He excels as a zone coverage player. When you watch this guy, I mean, he will open, he'll move sideways, he can run sideways almost as fast as he backpedals. So he's got that ability to get his steps going. He sees the field. He reads the quarterback. He's got a feel where the ball's going. He puts himself in position to make plays. He creates turnovers. His aggressive style, the way I mentioned, to put himself for interceptions, to knock balls loose, to be for the fumbles, stuff like that. He plays with a lot of flexibility, a lot of balance for the position. He triggers quickly when the ball's thrown in front of him or in the flat. He doesn't shy away from the contact. I think it was the California game I was watching, or it might have been North Carolina. Gosh, old man problems here. But they threw a screen to the flat and blocker came out, and my man dipped it. Yeah. I mean, he dipped the screen, dipped the blocker, and then stayed on his feet to make the tackle. So he can do those kinds of things. His lack of height will cause him some issues. I did see that in the Cal game. They got him matched up in the slot, taller tight end receiver, and ran an inside route, and he struggled with that one. So they got him that one time. I think you made this comparison, and I think you're absolutely right. We did the Maxwell Hairston from Kentucky in 2025. Sure. I think this guy's got some of those kind of strength. This guy might even be a better player. I know Hairston went in the first round.
Yeah.
But at 5'9", 185, where's your threshold? Where's your threshold? I personally have him above Pons on my board.
Yeah.
Is what I've got. So if you give me the 5'9", 173, 5'9", 185 guys, I've got it with Hood, Abney. Hood would be Tennessee, Abney, Arizona State, Rivers, Duke, Pons, Indiana. Second round stack right there.
I got a 2 on Rivers right behind Terrell.
Okay.
I like Rivers a lot, Brian.
I know you do.
He's my 6th corner right now.
Okay.
I like Rivers a whole bunch. Everything you said, he's super aggressive with the ball in the air, Brian.
Yeah.
He goes and you just see him. I like when you look bigger than what you really are. Because he doesn't look like a 185-pound player.
Right.
He look like a short, swole player just out there running around.
Yeah.
But he's thumping everybody, Brian. He's breaking up passes. And even if you kind of catch it on him a little bit, he'll fight you to the ground and kind of get the ball out. Super smart. I think he's cool and man.
Yeah.
I think he's a cool man guy. But he's so good in zone, Brian. I got it written down. He go crazy in zone because he get to just see everything.
Yeah.
And I think as long as it's in front of him, I think he's cool. When his back gets to the quarterback, you might have an issue there, and teams are going to find a way to make you do that. But it's your job as a DC to make him stay facing the quarterback. So easy, just figure it out. But super smart, great instincts, drive on the football.
I like your stack on that, though.
Great tackler. As the 6th guy?
Yeah, I do.
I
got him at 7. I got him as the 7th guy, but you've got him closer. So to me, you would be top of the 2nd, but you're thinking 1, 2, 3 kind of a grade. 1, 2, 4. How would you put him in terms of, say, Cowboy?
I say Rivers 1, 2, 1, 2, 5, 1, 2.
Okay, so you got him in the middle.
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle of it. Okay, gotcha.
What's going to happen is I think Hood and Terrell are going to end up going first round.
Right.
Even though I got 2nd round grades on them, I can see Rivers going in the 40 somewhere.
Yeah.
I can see Rivers going.
He's a good player. You got to figure these guys out. Rivers, Pons, you got to figure them out. They're shorter, but they play just as well as guys we've talked about, whether it's Everett from Georgia, Neal from Arkansas. I mean, these guys play, pretty well.
Yeah, man, just I don't know if the Cowboys gonna like him because of measurables. Like our scouting department values measurables.
Will McClay is a walk on water guy. I think the guys walking
on some damn water, though, Brian.
I think they walk on water. I think both him and Pons both walk on water.
Pons got evidence on national TV of him walking on water.
Yeah.
Rivers as well. Some of the other, like Everett, that's why he's a 3 to me.
Right.
He a little smaller, but he ain't walking on water for real.
Right.
These 2 cats smaller than him, they walk. So I got 2s on them.
Yeah.
See,
that's where I think that teams. I think what we saw with Maxwell, and Maxwell Hairston. I think that teams are. I think they're coming around. Trust me, in Green Bay, 1992, we drafted Terrell Buckley. He was very similar size-wise. We drafted him 5th overall. And we thought, man, this is a dynamic player. We should have taken Troy Vincent. Is who we really should have taken for being in Green Bay and a bigger guy and all that. But I think we're coming to a point in time now where, damn, just watch the film. Just watch the film.
Watch film, man. Brian, speaking of watching the film, if you look at the measurables, you would assume that our guy Denzel Burks, you would assume that he would just line up in the slot.
Yeah.
I mean Deion Burks, pardon me.
Deion Burks.
You would assume Deion Burks just line up in the slot and just run around as a small guy. Right? You watch film, they play his ass outside. And they run him everywhere.
Yep.
He kind of got some Jordan Addison in him, Brian. You know what I'm saying? Some of that down the field stuff. Plays in the slot sometimes. His route tree kind of limited, but he does fly off the line of scrimmage and he gets downfield and stack up on these guys in a hurry.
Yeah.
I think he's a pretty good route runner, Brian. I think he has a plan when he's running routes. I think you see him, if he's gonna break outside, I'm gonna stack and leverage you inside a little bit. Then I'm gonna break to the outside. And him and his quarterback got good timing or whatever, right? So what I'm saying is he has to go to a quarterback that got some good timing to him, right? If he goes to I don't know, Jalen Hurts or something like that.
I knew somehow Jalen Hurts is going to catch a stray in this.
If he goes to Jalen Hurts, he's finished. I think he has a little bit of yak ability to him. Just has an explosive runner. I think he tracks the ball. Good hands too, Brian. And I say this because
good hands.
I said good 3 times on accident. I meant to say good twice, but I said it 3 times on accident. So pardon me.
I thought you were doing it for effect.
Well, this is why I say he has good hands, not good
hands.
Because whoever the quarterback is for Arkansas be throwing that bitch anywhere, bro.
Yeah, there's no question.
He be throwing it anywhere. But I like the wide receivers that can catch bad passes.
Yeah, bad ball catchers.
Bad ball catchers. But Burks is a little guy.
Yeah.
Burks is a little guy. And sometimes, you know what I'm saying, they'll walk up and try to get physical with him.
Right.
And he'll go on a ride to the sideline. He'll go on a ride somewhere that he ain't trying to go. So if you also have to be creative with how you deploy him, Brian. But hey, man, downfield guy, over the middle guy, outside breaking route guy. I don't see a whole bunch of routes to him, but the routes that he runs them fine. I got a 3 on him, Brian. Deion Burks. You watched a little bit of him, huh?
Yeah, a little bit of him. I think you got the guy right. Absolutely. I was kind of think about where do you put him in the rank with the stack with the guys that you got.
I got him in the 3rd behind Lane.
Okay.
But in the 2s, I got Surratt, Concepcion, and Boston.
Yeah.
And my 1s are Tyson, Lemon, and Tate.
I was on with Jeff Kavanaugh this morning, and we were talking about Surratt, and he goes, I like guys that separate. I like guys that, I'm like.
I don't know what Jeff looking at.
That's what I didn't have the heart to tell him that. I'm like, what are you looking at, bro? The guy separates a little bit.
I have no clue what
he goes, if you want to throw back shoulder balls all day, you want to throw the back shoulder balls.
I think they throw more back shoulder balls to the other guy.
Yeah, he likes Cooper better is what he said.
They throw a ton to him, but cool.
Exactly.
But go ahead.
But yeah, no, I think you got the player absolutely right.
Cool. Brian, and tell us about I like Trigg a lot from Baylor.
Yeah.
And let me just be clear when I say a lot. I mean,
Not a lot.
I got a 3 on him.
Okay.
But I do like him a lot for where you could potentially get him. Tell us about Mike Trigg, the tight end from Baylor.
I have him as a 4.
That's fine.
As a 4. And he's a transfer. He's been a couple places. He's been to USC, fight on, Ole Miss. And then, but he could be a matchup problem. This is one of your hybrid tight end type guys. Yep. And the route running part, I think, is good. I think he has a feel for how to attack when the leverage and the way he plays. He almost does it like a wide receiver. Yeah. The way that he's able to run his routes.
He's definitely a big wide receiver.
He's a big wide receiver. And so he does really, I thought, a good job of tracking the ball, securing the catch. He'll extend his hands away from his body in order to make the reception. I think there's a good job with the length to make those catches as well. Contested plays of the tight end, I think he handles those things. I think he's got enough speed to threaten the seams. I think he could be a little bit of a problem with the run after the catch for some of these people. I think he had a 71-yard run against, it might have been Kansas State, where he was just bouncing off people and stuff like that. So I kind of was happy to see those kinds of things. I think the thing that you need to be alert about him, and I use the word hybrid tight end, this guy is a long way from being a good blocker. Mm-hmm. A long way from being a good blocker. And when he does pads high, he'll lose control. He'll struggle with some of that. I think this guy's going to turn into a flex, maybe a slot, more so than being an inline player. Mm-hmm. But he's going to have to be a lot more consistent as a blocker. I felt like I dinged him a lot for that. But if you're looking for maybe, as they would say in scouting, the one-trick pony guy, this might be the one-trick pony that's got some tricks to him when it comes to catching the football.
Brian, I like him as a 3, but if you like him as a 4, that's even better, because that means I can get him if he's a 4. Everything you said about him is right. He mostly lines up off the line of scrimmage. Yeah. But Baylor kind of tells on himself, because when he lines up in line, they're asking him to block.
Asking him to block, and it ain't getting it done.
Actually, Brian, this is where I slightly disagree with you.
Okay.
I think he's a decent move blocker.
Okay.
I think if they're pulling him out wide, he's really good at getting in front of somebody.
Screener.
He one of them. But
shielder, screener.
Don't ask him to pull and kick no ends.
Yeah.
Don't ask him to pass block and save your life.
Yeah.
Ask him to chip, because he got a big body.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can pull him out wide and ask him to lead or something like that. And don't think he gonna thump nobody after he leading out there.
Right.
But he is a decent move blocker. Bryan, I feel like when I watched him do most of his work, it was mostly short stuff though.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that'll kind of separate him
in the middle of the field. Yeah.
Yeah, from Sadiq, and we'll talk about him next week. But Sadiq was more dangerous down the field.
Yeah.
At Oregon, but Sadiq didn't catch a bunch of passes.
Yeah.
Trigg caught a bunch of passes, but they were all in that quarterback safe box, in which I don't mind.
Yeah.
But there are times when he gets on some linebacker that's like smaller, some corner that's smaller, and they'll have a hard time tackling him. So I do like that a lot. He has a good feel for the zone. He's not overrunning zones and stuff. Bigger body, can be a yak guy. Not a great blocker, but decent as a move dude. I like him a little bit as a 3. He might end up being a 4 for me, but I value the tight ends that receive more than the tight ends that just block.
You've got me now questioning whether I have Max Clare is a guy that I've seen. Max Clare is a tight end from Ohio State, 6'5", 243. He's a transfer from Purdue, very similar type of player. Max Clare to me is a 3. Why would I put Trigg in the 4?
Okay.
But as I read Max Clare, very similar to
Clare might be a 4. Clare might be a 4.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If I've got Clare as a 3, maybe Trigg, Baylor again would be, because to Max Clare from Ohio State is reading very similar to what I have with Trigg.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Man, ladies and gentlemen, this was a long show, but I know y'all ass ain't complaining. I know y'all ain't mad. You know what I'm saying? Y'all be all right. We're going to start bringing in some more guests.
I think Fridays are good days for guests, don't you?
Just have a long Friday show. I like that a little bit.
Finish up the week with some guests. We can do that.
Yeah. Bryan's going to look in his deep Rolodex and find all kind of famous people.
I'm going to Rolodex. I'm going to go for people I've never interviewed before. I'm going to try and just reach out to some folks and see if they want to come on board with us here.
We'll do it together.
Some drafting type folks or some coaching type folks too.
We will definitely do it together.
Yeah.
And I'll ask for Will Steele and Foots or something.
I see Foots doing out there doing good work at the Senior Bowl.
Foots is the same height as TJ Park. You seen Foots in real life?
I saw that. Yeah.
Foots Bryan tall in real life too, in case y'all ain't know. We athletes here. I'm short to them. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I kind of like Fridays.
Fridays are cool. I like Fridays.
We're gonna come here Friday. We're gonna talk to some more people. We're gonna talk to our beat writer friends, his coaching friends, his old buddies, scouting buddies, and all that. And I talk to my YouTube friends. We're gonna make Fridays fun. We appreciate y'all. I got some homework for y'all because we're coming back Monday. We're coming right back.
I'll be in San Francisco though, sir. I will see you down the line.
So Bryan's gonna be remote, so he get to be on the screen.
I get to be on the screen this week.
Bryan gets to be on the scring, and I'll be in studio kicking it. And you'll just watch your players, and we'll just talk about.
We'll talk about them. I'll be there.
I gotta find a damn thing I sent to the people. All right, here we go. So Monday the 2nd, February the 2nd. Okay. Monroe Freeling, offensive tackle from Georgia,
first round guy and some mocks.
Damn, Bryan, they always put them people up.
I know Dane threw that guy in there about 28.
I should have asked Dane about Monroe Freeling.
He should have been. Yeah, we'll talk about him.
We'll talk about Kenyon Sadiq, tight end, Oregon. He's another guy that I've seen him in some ones.
Yeah.
I don't know where to put him. Dylan Thieneman, we finally get to talk about him. And safety from Oregon, and we'll talk about Torian York, linebacker from Texas A&M.
East West guy.
Hey man, we moving down these lists, Bryan. We knocking some players out, but that's our process. That's how we do it here at the Doing All Right. Other shows gonna do it different. That's perfectly fine. The Stat gonna do it different. You know what I'm saying? That's cool. This is kind of what we do. So if you love what we do, we appreciate y'all. We love y'all for tapping in with us. CrownGlobeMedia.com, where you find everything. If you want a tumbler, you want some merch, hoodie, shirt, quarter
beanies.
Beanies on the way.
It's cold out there. No, beanies are there.
Beanies there.
Beanies are there.
Whatever logo you like, we'll plop it on there, and it'll be shipped right to your front door. CrownGlobeMedia.com. You also can find the links to all the podcast work that we do, the audio platforms that we have. It's all up there, and that's Crown Global Media on Twitter.
That's me.
Man,
one day, lady's trying to. She's being nice though. Yeah. Lady's helping me. It's being really nice. I'm glad. It's our folks at X. They're not being very kind right now. We'll fix it one day.
It's going to be Crown Global Media. You might as well just build the
I'm trying.
Page up. Yeah.
I don't want to have to do that, but here we are.
It's all good.
Yeah.
And I'm Voch Lombardi, so I just retweet everything Bryan tweets so y'all can see it. All right. We love y'all, man. Appreciate y'all for tapping in with us on this long show. We'll catch y'all next time. Crown.